in business. Hold on. Hit record.
Sweet.
We're back.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'll bring it towards you. Cool. I lost our train of thought, but I guess. Oh, we were talking about stuff that's changed, I guess. But I feel like we got most of that.
Yeah. I mean, if that's recording, I think we were on to basically it all. It's just gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
It's just the new generation. I think there are young people and their priorities are not the same as ours were. I think we were mainly Generation X, slacker generation. We didn't care so much about making money, but you had to have enough to live some kind of life, and then you had time left over because it wasn't that expensive here, but now it is. But then you have young people I couldn't conceive. There are people in my neighborhood, like we're 2.5 blocks away from the original headquarters of OpenAI, ChatGPT. It's here. It's in this neighborhood. So you have people that are 22 that are making, I'm going to say 7 figures. 6 is not enough. These are people walking around that are young that are making well over $250,000 a year. That's who's here.
Mm.
That's who wants the new coffee place that just opened that you're not getting out for less than $10 a cup. And it's great. It's the best coffee there is, but and it's 1 block from here, and it just opened. But that's who's there. I mean, God bless them. It's just not how it was, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything about the changes that like you like or like are like feel like it's positive in any way or?
I feel like we're as a city we're on this road to like I've always loved the idea of this town. I as a very young kid growing up in the South, I think my dad took me to see Dirty Harry, which was filmed here obviously, and it was filmed in a way that there are all these tight shots of like the Bank of America building figures very highly in that. But the way they shot all these shots, the buildings look much bigger than they even are. And I kind of fell in love with the town through Dirty Harry. And I knew like, oh, this is a really cool town. And so I'm a fan of the city, and I don't like to see vacant lots and things in a city. Like if I didn't want to live in a city, I wouldn't live in a city. I want to live in a place that's vibrant, that's has some attraction, that's has a healthy economy, but also people are taken care of, but it has to function. And so I see some of that happen. Like if I walk in the Mission now, even now, like Mission Street, it's maybe 30 to 40% vacant storefronts, which I don't live in a city for vacant storefronts. Like I could, that's like, I want activity. I want people walking. I want it to be a city. I live in a city. I love living in a city. I don't want it to be, it'll never be exactly like New York, but I could go live in New York if I wanted to live in New York. But if I wanted to live in a place that didn't have people, I wouldn't choose to live in a city. And, I like some sort of economic activity, whether I can participate or not. Again, we're here, which is different than a lot of people. We bought a place. We're kind of here. I'm a fan of the city. I like to see, like, I had to go check that coffee place out.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they had an idea and they made it's really cool. And they planted a redwood tree inside. And it's, it's now the most expensive coffee near me where you wait the longest. I'm like, those are two those are very high metrics, and we already had a place like that I would tell people to visit. It's like, if you want to pay more than you've ever paid for a cup of coffee and wait longer than you ever have, go there. And now there's another place that's even more expensive and you wait longer. I don't mind that that's there, and it's not for me necessarily, but it was a burned out building before, so I'm like, I like that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see empty storefronts. I want to see somebody doing something, and I don't know how to solve that, but I know it's a problem. I don't know if it's people that are waiting because they are afraid to rent to a business because they think they're going to get more later, but when you've been here this long, you see places and you see a pattern, like in the city, like our favorite restaurant, Heirloom, is around the corner. It's been there about 10 years. The space they're in sat vacant for 45 years. And I'm like, why? Why is that the case? Why? What is it about this town that makes that happen? What is it about this town that squeezed people out to the East Bay when there's plenty of stuff that could have been developed here, or just not help? I don't have any answers, but the more of that I see, whether it appeals to me or whether it's for me or not, I like it. I want to live in a city. I want the city to thrive, be healthy. So, yeah. And then there've been some things that have endured, which is great. Like, but they're maybe not. Even those are not for me anymore. Casino is not for me. It's for someone else, but it's doing great. It's found its new niche. But there are places that I feel like that is for me. Like, Royal Cuckoo is like, that feels right. There's businesses that have thrived, like people that were like Blue Plate. That was somebody in the roofie's husband started that years ago, and it's still there. So I like having those options, and may not use them, but I like that they're there. I like that it puts people on the street, and I like to live around a variety of people. This neighborhood has that. So I'm not mad at the millionaire 22-year-old. I'm not mad at the guy pushing a shopping cart. It's like, I just want to see more activity. I don't want to see it run down. So I think it's changing in that way. And it maybe is becoming a more, I think it has been, but I think it's becoming a different city, and it's like more of an international city that is just on the radar of, in the way that some cities that are more of an economic powerhouse, it's like more like in line with a Hong Kong or something like that. Because I think it's got everything. I love it here. It's like, if you come from the South and you understand heat and humidity, we don't have that. And you understand bugs, and you're able to have your windows open with no screens. And the weather's perfect. The geography's perfect. So, it just has to be able to generate enough economic activity that people can have jobs and people can make a living.
Yeah, true. Okay. This is kind of going back to earlier in the conversation, but I just saw this question and I feel like it's relevant. When you came to San Francisco and started playing music here, did what you were doing change at all? Like artistically, musically? Like, was it different?
I think there's a through line. Like, my interests were definitely started in punk rock, and also DIY, and an aesthetic that's not answering to anyone beyond the thing that's being done amongst the group. So I think coming from Chapel Hill, where that was very much the ethos. It's like, well, you're gonna do something. It was like more supportive than anywhere, and you can figure out what your aesthetic is and how, what is your contribution. And it depends on your instrument a lot, because I played different instruments in different bands. So I saw something that I really liked that needed a drummer. I was like, well, I can play drums as well as you can play guitar, which is not good. But it was like you need to fill that out. So it was just all like, what do I like? And that's evolved for sure. And it's good to live in a. I would consider it a music town, like full of music fans and access to different sounds and live music and record shops and all the things that you need to keep evolving. So I would say it's definitely I had like a baseline aesthetic, which is like punk rock, do it yourself. But like I had this organ that I never really played in a band, but I knew it had this really good sound. It was a '60s Farfisa organ, and I found a band that needed that, and I was like, well, I do this now, and it's like learn the songs, but there's not much I could do beyond that. But it's like, okay, I can do that. So I was able to like, um, bring that into the, into whatever it is that I do. And then listening to different music and like the way that evolved into Los Panacheros, like Brent was really into like Latin psychedelic, and all of a sudden I'm in this like very Latino neighborhood that you would see mariachi bands, and you'd see different instruments and congas and things, and you knew people that were into that, and it's like that what wasn't happening where I was from. It was more of a San Francisco thing, so I got to be influenced by that, and then it's just getting together with people that you have a shared aesthetic, and then you produce something new, and it's so it's always changing. So I thought this was a great town for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you feel like you struggled in any way when you first moved here to do music, and like was there anything that was like, oh, this is like hard, or
I didn't. I thought it was like it again reminded me of the Chapel Hill scene, which was supportive. There were places to play. It was all very local, and that's a small town, but this was a small neighborhood, and it felt like everything I was doing was based in this neighborhood. All the people lived here. And at the time, again, moving here, I didn't have like a real job. I was doing freelance, which was great. And I just got to the point where I'm like, well, there's more going on with music, and I'll tell them I can't work as much, or vice versa. So it actually was pretty easy in that way. Once we had a place to live, and we're making rent and eating, then there was time for art. And that, strangely, was pretty easy, but it was based on landing in the right spot and finding the right people.
Yeah, yeah, that's like something that I feel like another repeated theme that's come up in these interviews is like people just talking about how it was really easy to just do it, and it just felt kind of like everyone was just kind of doing it, and
Yeah,
it was just kind of like what was happening, and
it was in the air, and it was also something I didn't come here knowing I would do. Like I say, I kind of put all that on the back burner for 3 years in Atlanta. I'm like, okay, well now let me take this tiny skill that I'd started in Chapel Hill and making flyers and learning desktop publishing, and now let me just do that alone, and not even thinking in terms of like a career, but it's like it blossomed, and the more that happened, I was able to be more stable economically and able to afford to move out here, which took some money, but at the end in Atlanta, I was like, okay, I'm doing freelance and I can do that anywhere. So I came here and brought the instruments. Hadn't played really in a band in a while, but also always went to see music. It was always there. It was a big thing, and I did some things, but not as much in Atlanta. And I got here, and I was like, well, all of a sudden I met all these people, and it's like, oh, that's happening again, which was great. So it was easy in that way, just from meeting the right people and being in the right place, right time.
yeah.
So it was just like, let me ramp that back up and figure out the balance between, doing what you want artistically, musically, and making a living. And that was easy. It was easy enough in the '90s. It was not. I can't imagine again today.
It's different now.
Good luck. God love you.
Okay, and then I think my last question is, do you have any like favorite memories or like anything, any like specific shows that stick out or anything that's like
Yeah.
anything like that?
I would say that there was a really great vibe with this band that the Roofies. I think there's a green, those green CDs
Oh yeah.
right there. Um, I think there's a couple things like that band when it was happening. That was a group of really great people, and they're off doing amazing things on their own now. But the kind of the front person of that band, Jibs Cameron, um, was amazing. And again, this El Rio place, loved that you would play because it was great. You could play outdoors, or they put you inside if the weather was bad, or you're playing at night. And they loved us, and we played a show with Jibs, and she had her backup singers, female, and it was just a great vibe. It was like a, kind of a garage band as I was playing the organ in, and we were kind of like at a high point as far as people coming to shows, and it was a packed house. And she came in and she had like a scarf over her hair, and she took the scarf off and we started playing, and she had dyed her hair blonde, which was not anything in particular, but it's like no one knew that look for her. It's like, wow, that's pretty wild, because we didn't know either. First song she whipped off the thing, it's like, okay, that's how Jibs looks now. And then like mid song she took it off. It was a blonde wig, but she had actually dyed her hair blonde below it. I was like, that's just a cool move. That's like you psyched us out. I thought that was like, and the audience got it too. It's like, wow. And so you see like people in your, like a surprise like that to all of us on stage, we had to react at the same time as the audience, and to see someone who's that comfortable performing and like giving it that level, that was really cool. And then to get in bands that actually, to me, it was a big deal to actually have something recorded and put out on vinyl, um, where somebody else believed in it enough to put it out, where you're on a record label. And that happened with like Hank 4, and then to be able to roll that into like doing some really good level of touring, for us. And we're not, it wasn't nobody's full-time job, but it's like, okay, we're going to do this thing, we're going to go play some shows in New York, and we're going to go play in Italy. And just to do that because you knew people in Italy and New York who could help make it happen, and you take time off of work and go do that. But you had an album, you're playing New York, you're playing Europe. Those are, to be able to do those things means more than money. It's like those things are not available at any price. If you had the money, you can't just say, I want to do that, here's money. It's like, no, we're doing that. Somebody liked the record enough to put it out. It's on vinyl. Here's this artifact that you can actually hold on to. Yeah, those are a couple that stand out. Just, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we got most of it. Yeah. Thanks for
Of course.
sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.